Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. So my name is Paulo and today we're going to be talking about moving into a consultant's life. Okay, so I'm going to break this down into three main points. Okay, so one is that what is it that the consultant does? Okay, how is it that you can move into a consultant's life? And then lastly but not least, what are the benefits but also the pitfalls of a consultant's life? Okay, so stick around to know more. So, what is it that you do then as a consultant? So, normally speaking, you need to assess the problem, okay, gather the requirements, propose a solution, get the buy in from the customer with regards to that potential solution, get your team to work or be part of that team that you are working with, okay, implement the solution, and then most likely support the solution that was then implemented. Okay, aside from that, what you need to consider, normally speaking, you'll be traveling 10% of your time up to 50% of your time. Okay, so that depends then on what is it that you do. Okay, what's your role? For instance, if you're a project manager, if you are a developer, if you're a tech lead, whatever that may be. So of course you're gonna have different sets of traveling and etc. Okay, but that is one point that you need to take into consideration. Okay, aside from that, also the other point that is important for you to know has to do with how to call it in concrete terms on what is it that you do while working. Okay, so normally you are called to give advice. Okay, this could be also from a strategic perspective, could be from an implementation perspective, could be because an implementation that was previously done by another consultant or consulting firm was not done correctly, so you need to revise that and rebuild it if needed. Or it could be that you are just called for support. Okay, so on my specific case, because I'm working in terms of consulting, that is in terms of MarTech and sales tech, so CRM, implementations, marketing technology, etc. So I'm called, of course, to take care of those kinds of problems. So, but just to give you a bit of concrete, normally speaking, you are called for strategic points to solve implementations that were not correctly done, or to implement something from scratch, or even give the best possible advice on how is it that the customer should be actually running their marketing campaigns, on how to have sales success, on how to have proper data. So those are some of the points that you're going to be called as a consultant. Okay, so stick around for the next one. So, how to move into a consultant's life. So, up to this point in time, you should be already aware of what is it that a consultant does. Okay, but now the point is, how is it that you can actually move and become a consultant? Okay, so I will start with my example. Okay, to give you a concrete one. Okay, and then I will give you my thoughts on what is it that you need to actually take into consideration in order to actually to move to such a career. Okay, so on myself, so my background is essentially on CRM. Okay, in connection to customer relationship management. Okay, in connection to marketing, sales, and service. Okay, and aside from that, also project management and consulting in itself. Okay, so and also to give you that, when I'm talking about consulting on this specific point or a specific case, I'm talking about consultancy on or consulting, sorry, on marketing, sales, service. Okay, in connection to technology. Okay. And digital transformation and topics similar to this one. Okay, so but going back, so I was talking about my background. So I started to work then with CRM, specifically Salesforce, in 2012. Okay, I was fortunate enough of working on hybrid roles between the business side and then the tech side. Okay, which allowed me to get a lot of knowledge of how is it that you can actually have a better understanding of the business, and then how is it that you can actually combine that with tech, okay, being CRM, okay, being data, being analytics, okay, those kinds of things, okay. And then throughout my career, I was fortunate enough, let's put it like that, to work with Accenture, Deloitte, Capgemini, 4C Consulting, Cloud Coachers, and of course, all of those are big consulting companies and give you a lot of expertise and knowledge. Okay. Aside from that, I've worked across 5 different countries. Okay, which is actually quite interesting for a consulting company as well, okay, because it showcases your ability to adapt and interaction with different cultures, okay. Aside from that, also that is important. So in my case, specifically my background, and previously before going into more the tech side of things, I was working on generalistic marketing, okay. So I already had that business knowledge, okay. And then I mixed that with implementation and with more close to technology, marketing automation, CRM, etc. And the combination of that package allowed me, between brackets, to become more expert, let's say, within this domain, and therefore more interesting for consulting companies. Okay, but let's go one step back. So imagining that you do not have such background, okay, so you're coming from scratch, what is it that you need to take into consideration? Is it that you are not going to be able to jump into consulting experience, let's say, if you don't have experience across different countries or domain knowledge? No, that's not the case. So what I would say is that there are a few things that the consulting, let's say, career or to jump into consulting career you need to have. So one is your capacity to showcase flexibility, ability, capacity to adapt, continuous learning, under handle pressure, also being able to engage with people, focus on teamwork. I would say also having a solution-driven mindset. Those are some of the things that I would say that are actually quite valued by a consulting company. Okay, so if you do not have the work experience, okay, but if you do have those skills, okay, most likely you're going to be of interest for a consulting company. Also, the other thing that you need to understand is that if you and another point that is also important to add, planning. Okay, planning is actually extremely important. So if you do not have the experience, okay, go and search for internships, small jobs, etc. That would allow you then to get those skill sets, because then when you go into an interview with a consulting company, most likely going to be closer to get your job. Okay, so that is my advice with regards to this. So stick around for the next one. Okay, to close then, let's talk about benefits and pitfalls. Okay, so one of my favorite benefits is for sure to actually have flexibility. Okay, and this is something that you're gonna get from consulting. Okay, aside from that, also I would say that the salary package, normally speaking, is good, but nevertheless you need to make yourself worth. Okay, so need to work for it in order actually to get paid as you deserve. Okay, aside from that, what I would say is the amount of knowledge, enormous amount of knowledge that you can get, okay, of actually working on a consulting company, because it's likely that you're going to be in touch with different projects, okay, with people that have loads of experience in terms of cross industry, cross companies even, okay, and all of that you can actually absorb, okay, so which is tremendous. Then the other point that I would say that is one of the big benefits of actually working on consultancy, is actually the network. Okay, so the network is is tremendous. And the reason for saying this is that when you get into a project or several projects, you're going to start to actually to get to know people from the client side, from within your company, even across third party people that you're going to be working, so meaning other agencies that are going to be working on this or consulting companies that are going to be working on the same project. So what will happen is that most likely you're going to get to know all levels of people across those third party consultings or agencies, but aside from that also the client. Okay, so that said, what can actually happen is that you're going to get a job offer from the client, okay, if you are good enough, okay, and then it's your call to say yes or no. But aside from that, it's always good to actually have a very good network, because you can also leverage that network when you're going to go into future projects. Okay, that is definitely one of the things that I would strongly underline. Okay, so then talking about the pitfalls. Okay, because yes, all of us, we actually have to face that, and we need to think on the pitfalls. Okay, so I would underline two. Okay, two main pitfalls. One is that if you need to travel a lot, okay, then of course it will not be good for your family. Okay, as I mentioned before, normally speaking, you're going to travel between 10 to 50%. Okay, therefore it's going to be a bit of a challenge for you to combine that with your life. Okay, but then stop, rewind. We have coronavirus. Okay, that is one of the big benefits, I would say, if there is any, of coronavirus, actually, that completely revamped the way of working from a remote setting. That said, more and more companies are more used to work on remote setting. Okay, that said, your level of traveling went down for sure. Okay, because companies are more used to work on a remote setting. Therefore, that is also something that can actually help with the balance with your private life. Okay, then the last point that I would underline in terms of pitfalls is workload, okay, or overwork. Okay, there is a tendency of some, unfortunately, to get trapped within this point. Okay, and then unfortunately there's a lot of pressure. People tend to think that they do not have a way out, okay, and some of them go into burnouts or go into overwork and etc. I would say that my key advice for you is to take into consideration that you come first, your life comes first, you as a person and an individual comes first. Okay, do not put yourself into a situation that is really difficult to manage, and that you put yourself into overwork. Okay, just meaning push your hand for help. Okay, speak up and actually explain your situation. Don't allow for yourself to be trapped into that situation, because it's a no-go. Then the other thing that I would say that you need to consider, and actually to avoid overworking, is actually efficiency. Look out to how is it that you can actually become more efficient. What are the tools that you can actually use to automate part of your job? How is it that you can best leverage your company resources, your team, your personal network, anything, so that you become much more efficient on the way you actually do the work, and therefore you're, potentially speaking, you're going to be more equipped to actually to fight, between brackets, this pitfall. Okay, so that's it, my friends. Hopefully this was an interesting session. Okay, please join me on this journey, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and take care. Okay, cheers, bye bye.